Hey guys, welcome to the Gun Shop with me, Johnny. The other week we looked at the 783 standard package. This week we've got the Varmint package. Before we take this out and have a go with it, let's have a quick look over it. At the back we have the soft Remington recoil pad. Leading on to this, the plastic stock. It is not a nice plastic stock. It's probably worth mentioning that the stock is not inspirational. But this rifle retails at $779, so it's not going to be particularly inspirational. The bolt has an oversized bolt handle. It's the first element of the Varmint about it. It has this oversized bolt handle and you can screw it off so you could fit a custom bolt knob if you so desired. This is a hell of an improvement over the standard 783 just in terms of making the bolt operate and feel that little bit nicer, not that it felt too bad before. On top of the action is a one-piece Picatinny rail. Fitted on top of that is these tactical mounts, 6-screw mounts, and on top of that is this, an AIM Sports 3-12 by 50 scope. 30mm tube, illuminated reticle, comes with flip-up covers, should be an upgrade over the other. The barrel is a Varmint 24-inch barrel. Nothing particularly special about it. Threaded in 1/2x28 UNF, and it comes fitted with an evolved moderator. We found out last time that these are actually pretty good. So it's quite nice that contains that. And the bipod they chuck on there is just a bipod, nothing too special. Without further ado, come shoot it. So we've had our first few shots and we found ourselves and we got ourselves close-ish to the target. Hopefully now just a few shots away and we'll be wound in time for some serious testing. The rifle is very nice, actually, it's very nice. Obviously a 223 is a really smooth recoiling rifle. It's really nice, big heavy barrel. It makes for a good shooting gun. The trigger is quite pleasant, but my only complaint so far, before we get too far into this, is that this scope is not luxury. So the reason we got this rifle is because we were out in Italy a couple of weeks ago and I got to speak to my rep when he came back because Spartaco, the guide out there, has a 783 standard and he says, have you seen the 783 Varmint? I said, no. And he says it's £130 more than the standard. You get some new toys, let's see what you think. And I must say I was absolutely made up with the 783 out there. In practical purposes, it served every need I could ask of it. And that in itself is pretty impressive. One thing Spartaco did say, which is the reason I'm telling you this, is because it's a pressure-bedded barrel and not a free-floating barrel, which is something that we managed to discuss even though we speak no words of the same language, it is less fussy if you want to touch the top of your barrel with your thumb or anything like that. It doesn't affect zero half as much. Okay, so I can certainly see some of my flaws here, and I'm hoping it's not just the rifle. I certainly see some of my flaws rocking back and forth on that bag, finding my way into the target, maybe prematurely releasing the trigger there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get down prone and see what this rifle is capable of, not just myself. I'm going to aim at one of those dots, those orange dots. I'm going to put a group of 5 in together. It's worth mentioning that this scope actually is first focal plane, but where the reticle quality isn't quite good enough, actually the more you zoom in, the less quality it is. So sticking it around 6 or 7 seems to be the sweet spot. This is where we're at. We've got probably 1.25 inches centre to centre group, which I'm quite happy with. This is my last shot. I'm 100% sure I pulled this. You can't not be unhappy with that for a rifle of this quality. And I must admit, I'm fighting that scope. That scope and me are not good friends. What I'm going to do is I'm going to change the ammo and we're going to go over to the other Rem ammo and see how it performs. So we've now moved on to these, the 50 grain Remington AccuTip V boat tails. A little bit more pretty, a little bit more expensive as well. And we'll see how we get on. A little magical golden tip might make it more accurate, who knows? Only one way to find out. We are a very different bullet, that's for sure. It's actually to be both tail to listen to and to recoil on your shoulder. It seems smoother. Just taking a little break from it. This scope in my eye, as I've said a few times now, aren't really getting on the best. So actually I'm finding it's having to strain my eye a little bit to get on there. And then my eye ends up watering a little bit and it goes a bit hazy, and then actually I'm just all over the place. I don't dislike it, and as a cheap foxing setup, I think it's really good. It's a brilliant rifle. However, I do dislike this scope enough to say that actually I would buy this rifle without the scope. I would buy this rifle without the scope as a package and invest my money elsewhere. It's not like the other one where the scope is cheap enough that you can afford just to throw it away. This scope, it actually has some investment in it. It will do the job, no doubt, but the scope isn't for me. I think the Sporter is better value for money, given that you want to upgrade the scope in either scenario. The Sporter, you can afford to buy it and then chuck £400 VX Freedom on top, or something equivalent in that £400 bracket, which is more than enough for most people's needs. Anyway, hopefully my eyes are rested enough. Let's put the last two bullets down range. Alright, so I'm just going to zoom out and we're just going to use the rifle in operation. Not that we had any issues with the 783, and actually if they put this Varmint bolt handle on the 783 Sporter, by the way, that would be hands down the best combo of the two, but they don't. So this big Varmint bolt handle does improve the cycling ability, or your ability to use it. It makes it more tactile, if you like. And so I'm going to zoom it right out to 3, and I'm just going to fire up 5 nice quick rounds at the pheasant's head, I think. Quiet, but certainly makes that dot a very palatable size all of a sudden. Alright, when you're ready. Operates like a charm. You can't fault its operation as a bolt action, that's for sure. The safety that you can put on and operate whilst on safe will upset some people, I'm sure. However, actually, it's quite nice to have a completely safe rifle. Yes, there's downsides that your bolt can open, there's no sort of bolt locking operation, but as long as you're aware of that and treat the rifle accordingly, actually it's all right. Anyway, let's go down to the target, see what this rifle's capable of, and then go home. As you can see, it's not too bad. Aiming here, we're a little bit off to the right as opposed to the other one, shooting a little high, so the zero shift between those two bullets was actually more considerable than I would have thought. It's not a particularly interesting group. Like I said, actually I was really battling with that scope on any zoom. Our second group over here, our fast fired group on low zoom, actually was better, no doubt better. I am holding that scope entirely responsible for my lack of performance with that rifle. However, to shoot a group like that, after only shooting 25 rounds through a rifle, it's not too bad. So I'm going to start with the scope. As I'm sure you've gathered, I dislike this scope thoroughly. From the fact that you have to screw the whole hot eye bell to zoom it in and out, to the fact that it just wasn't really that clear, I am not a fan. The mounts and rail, however, seem to be of fairly good quality, and there was no zero shift or anything like that. And these certainly seem an upgrade over the standard 783. The big bolt handle really did help. The fact you can get it and use that little bit more energy to actually cycle it will stop any failure to extract, which this rifle can have if you don't extract it hard, but that's just the nature of the way that it works. Some issues that people have found with these rifles through chatting to various owners is, well, there aren't many, but the ones there are quite scary. Failure to extract if you don't cycle this really hard. Failure to fire actually has been an issue for one person, failure to fire. However, it's apparent that that was just the rifle. Get a new rifle and it's fine. Some do have accuracy issues. However, you're buying a cheap rifle, and there's been, I can promise you, just about every cheap rifle brand out there, I've had returns for accuracy issues. For the most part though, a lot of it boils down to what goes on top of these things. Certainly in the budget rifle, which the accuracy issues was with, it was more of just a scope issue. Replace the scope, boom, job done and fixed. The moderator is exceptional. I think, again, as a bargain mod, they're very, very good. The bipod, I'm not going to write home about. It's a cheap bipod. And the magazine, some people have said they have issues with the mag, but I really struggle to see how. It's a really decent basic mag, and it works every time. You know, I can't see it lasting a lifetime, but you're not paying $779 for a rifle to keep for your life, are you? I would not buy this package. I genuinely hate this scope that much. I really like the cheap package, purely because at $650 for retail, 600 quid from what you can buy them for, it was a really good value package. This at $779 now is actually stepping up into competition with some other packages out there, which I would put as a better base rifle than this. It's not horrific. And to get yourself going for $779, I suppose there's a benefit there in the price. But for me, the scope was that much of a turn off. Guys, thank you very much for watching. Take care, goodbye, and we'll see you next time.